Thank you. I want to bring in now the president of the Council on Foreign Relations and author of the Substack, Home and Away, Richard Haass. Richard, as always, it's great to talk to you. You just heard, I'm sure, Keir Simmons' report on the ground in Moscow. And what he was saying is exactly, in essence, what Vladimir Putin wants the world to see, which is life is back to normal in Moscow, right? It is as if nothing has really happened. You tweeted yesterday, I believe, a consensus is forming that Putin is much weaker as a result of events. Maybe, but let's first see the details of the deal. What comes of Prigozhin and what steps Putin takes to tighten up at home. Will also be interesting to see if Xi backs off or stands by his man. Let's dissect that a little bit and first talk about why the details of this deal are so important and what that could mean. And then we'll talk China.
Well, the details of the deal matter in all sorts of ways. One question is, who gave more? Does it look like Putin capitulated in some ways, or does it look like Prigozhin was the one who lost here? I think that will matter. It'll also tell us something whether this was round one or chapter one of a saga, whether Prigozhin has something of a future or not. So I just think that, there's so many areas here, like to repeat what others have said, that we don't know the details. It's almost like Donald Rumsfeld. We've got known and unknowns here. That I'm a little bit concerned about the rush to judgment. And let's see. I mean, this question of Putin. Let's see what he does at home. Let's see what he does in Ukraine. I don't see a great, rising up opposition to him. So I just think we need to slow down a little bit before we're so confident in what the consequences of this are.
It's interesting because I've been wondering if, while folks are saying this makes him weaker, if in turn this makes him more dangerous, more erratic, feeling as if he's been backed into a corner.
I can imagine a couple of things. One is, yes, on the battlefield, he may do some things to show, almost to use a phrase that was once used about us, that he's not a pitiful, helpless giant, that he can still wage the war even without the Wagner mercenaries. At home, I can imagine a combination, Yasmin, of both cracking down, but also maybe handing out some goodies. Putin's he's a warlord, if you will, but he's also a populist. And he might decide now's a good time to dole out something to the Russian people to make them feel slightly better economically. So again, I just think it's too soon to count him out.
How does Putin allow Prigozhin to go to Belarus unscathed, watching him drive away from Rostov-on-Don, being cheered for by the Russians, taking selfies alongside the Russians, nobody, it seems, standing in his way as he made his way towards Moscow? How does Putin allow him to survive this, or does he not have a choice, knowing the type of support he has in Russia right now?
Well, it would have been risky for Putin to engage in an open-armed confrontation. He would have had Russians killing Russians. You don't know how that would have played out. Also, Wagner and Prigozhin are pretty popular. They've carried a lot of this war. And also his critique of the war, my guess, has some resonance, or at least some potential resonance. And Putin has to be careful of that. But if in 2 weeks or 3 weeks something were to befall Mr. Prigozhin, he too discovered that windows are unsafe places, or there was some poisoning, I wouldn't be surprised about that. So again, I wouldn't assume that Mr. Prigozhin has a political future in Russia. By the way, I wouldn't rule it out. But just because there wasn't an open-armed confrontation, I don't think it means that Mr. Putin is done with him.
You mentioned you're watching Xi, seeing if he's going to stand by his man. The reporting indicated to us was that conversations were had, I believe, not only with the Chinese leader, but also with Iran as well. I know Iran had come out at one point saying this was a domestic issue. In watching Xi and seeing if he, as you put it, stands by his man, what are you going to be watching for?
I'll be looking for both private interactions, public comments. It'd be very interesting to see whether China uses this as a moment perhaps to be a little bit more helpful on the war in Ukraine. China came out with a quote-unquote peace plan. They've talked about it a little bit. They haven't done a lot. They haven't, as best we can tell, put pressure on Putin or Russia. Now would be a perfect moment to do it if they were concerned about Putin's future.
So you mean helpful to the West, helpful to the Ukrainians, helpful to negotiate with Moscow, with Putin?
Absolutely. And indeed, I think part of our policy should be to enlist China here. They're in a much better position than anyone else to put pressure on Putin and on Russia. So we should be open to doing things with them if it's constructive. I'm not saying this will be, but it's certainly worth exploring.
Richard Hosforas, as always, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.